Hello there, guys. Welcome back. We're going to start this week with a little bit more in depth into the functionalities of ZBrush. Now, what we covered so far is just the basic UI manipulation, and then now we're going to go a little bit more into the actual how we're going to create a project. So, we're going to go a little bit into the actual features, a bit more advanced features of ZBrush, but at some point I'm going to show you a little bit about the prerequisites that you should have in order for you to keep working with these classes. And then we're going to be developing a method to create your characters from scratch using a method by an artist called Shane Olson, which is pretty popular in the ZBrush sculpting community. I think he used to be working with he used to work with Disney and big companies like that, and has developed a very simple way of creating stylized characters, and we're going to sort of follow that, and then we're going to build a little bit more from there. But if you want to find out a little bit more information about that, I'm going to show you here the page. So pretty much, if you go to this website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com, this is the you can read a little bit more about his background work, and as well what we're going to be doing here with him. But so his method pretty much. So he I think is specialized mostly these days in actually 3D printed characters for Disney, like in the Disney games. But one of the things that I want you to do, guys, and for your computer home, is to have a go all the way down here and then subscribe with him. Just your name, email, and you should receive a link to a download some brushes. These 3 brushes we're going to be using. Download it. Follow the instruction where to put them, and then you should have it on your computer on your installation on ZBrush. I'm going to try and talk to the technician. I think it should be fine to put these brushes automatically in all the computers in the lab, so you should have it available for you. But for now, we're just going to move on from here, because I don't want to show you this yet, but during the rest of the classes, yes, this week. But I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into the actual how to use a few features inside a ZBrush that will allow you to start building these characters using this method. But for now, we're just going to have to go a little bit more into the actual theory, you would say, probably, but inside here the ZBrush. Okay, so the first thing we're going to show you is a little bit about the methodology of showing and hiding geometry. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about groups as well, which is polygroups, and called polygroups. So I'm just going to go here into the lightbox like we talked about last week. So I'm going to open this guy, which is pretty simple. Just double click in there. You will have this. Just to recap a little bit more on the actual things that features that we covered last week. We know that if you press click and shift and hold, that you can snap to a view. You can snap to a 90-degree view like this. And it's sort of sensitive how the direction of the brush goes. So if you go down and you press shift, then it will know that you want to snap this way. If you continue, then it will snap to that part. And if you continue, it will snap to that part. So all you have to do is press shift and hold, and it will do it for you. Okay. And if I go this way, so it will understand. If I go this way, then it will snap to the front. Okay. You let go of this, or I'm gonna put it to the front here. Then you have this. Okay. So again, if you wanna rotate the character, you have to do is click on the side here. So I don't know why it gets stuck like this. Sometimes it just gets stuck. Okay. Sometimes I don't know why does it get stuck. I think this tablet has a bit of an issue with the driver, but it should be fine. So again, you press shift. Okay. So you know when you shift, when the the cursor goes blue. But if you press Alt, click and drag, you can pan. If you just click, you can just rotate. You press Alt, click and pan, and then you let go Alt, then you can zoom in and out by going in and out like this. Okay, just moving the brush in and out, or left and right, that's the same. So if you were too far like that, then you can just press the letter F and you can frame it. Okay, and as well, if you're out edit mode, you press Control N, you create a canvas. We talked about the 2.5D canvas. So we are here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the geometry. So if you want to click on this button, which is polyframe, you can see the geometry. Okay, and this is just pretty much the amount of polygon. If you zoom in here, you can see that every single one of these little squares is a polygon. This little is a face. These are the edges, and these are red dots are the vertices. At the moment, we have 106,000 polygons. Okay, or points. They got a point there, but it's polygons. Now you can notice that every single one of these has a color. Okay, and that is what is denominated as a polygroup. Okay, and a polygroup in ZBrush, or what it is a way for you to create a color group that allows you to select things easier in the viewport. That's all what it is. Okay, so where do you find the menu to deal with the operations of polygroup? Then you can have here, there is a polygroup section here in the tool, in the tool menu that's automatically docked here by default, which is one of these ones. What is it? This one here, but it's already docked here already. Okay. So the polygroups allow you to keep your polygroup. If you click here, you will create, every time you click here, it creates a different color, and it's a polygroup. Okay, it's just random. Okay, and don't worry about the group of itself or the color. It's just it will allow you to easily select things in the viewport. Okay, and as well, if you have different subtools here, you will have different subtools with different colors, or you can have one tool, as it is, one subtool with several things inside with different color that will tell you that it has a different polygroup. And by polygroups, I mean that it's a way to select things. Okay, that's all what it is. The same geometry, it's just a way to select things. Okay, so you go here, polygroups, and you can have things like you can merge similar groups. You can polygroup by edge, polygroup by normal. If you click this, it will probably give you nothing because obviously we don't have anything that has a perfect normal straight. But don't worry about that. We're gonna go more in depth in that. But for now, the only one that works is this, obviously, because it's obviously auto group, or you can say group visible if something is hidden. Then we're gonna go through that in a second. Then you can just click these two buttons at the moment are doing the same because there's only one subtool and everything is shown. Okay, so I just wanted to mention what polygroups are, but don't worry for now. We're gonna be going more in depth later on as we go along, and you will see when you start building your character what polygroups are powerful for, and then how you can put them together and then make selections and rotate, that you can rotate things and mask things out and all that. So first I want to show you is the modifier, which is the Control Shift. You press Control Shift at the same time, you will get, you remember when you press Shift, you see that the brushes, look at the brushes here, they change, means that you're in smooth mode. You click here, then you have the option to change different smooth brushes that are appearing here. Okay, well 3 so far. If I press Control Shift together, you see the menu is different. So this one is the select brush, and then here you have the option select brush, or you have the option to turn this same selection, Control Shift, into a clipping brush, or into a slide brush, or into a trim brush. Okay, so you have the ability to trim, to slice, to clip. I think this one is new, crisp brush. And obviously the selection. And the selection, you can select a lasso or rectangular. And this is just pretty standard in any software these days. Okay. So again, if I press Control Shift, okay, I press Control Shift, I click and drag, there is this blue box appear here. Okay. And now by doing that and letting go, I'm only showing that geometry. Okay. The rest of the geometry is still there, it's just hidden. The reason this one appears that transparent or translucent or invisible is because it has back face culling. The back faces are culling, being called. Whatever face is pointing in the other direction is being called. It's just for optimization things in the view for optimization purposes. So, but you can still show them by just going here into display property and telling to show double geometry. Clicking here, you see we're showing. This is only a view visualization thing. So again, everything is in there. Okay. So if I press again Control Shift and then if I click here, it will show everything back in. Okay. Let's do it again. Control Shift. I do this. Okay. Because I got symmetry automatically. Just select one thing and one C on the other side, one B on the other side. And again, everything, the rest is hidden. Okay. But it's still there. Okay. So I'm just gonna press again. Control Shift. Click. It shows everything back again. Okay. We have the ability to use a lasso. Press Control Shift again, and then you have the ability to use the lasso. And you can see every time you press Control Shift, the lasso is the one that is available. You can only access these brushes when you have Control Shift selected and held down to modify, and then you will be able to select this here. If you don't have it, you can see that the brush are completely different. Okay, so again, Control Shift. I'm gonna go and select the lasso, and now this time I'm gonna press Control Shift, and I can just draw a lasso like this. Okay, you can see now that I have this selection. It's just the ability for you to select things, hide other stuff. Nothing changes. Okay. Again, I press Control Shift, click, and show everything again. Let's do it one more time. Control Shift. Let's go to the selection. Okay. If you want to do the opposite of this, because you've already shown this, and then the rest is hidden. If you want to show what you already hid, all you have to do is you press Control Shift, and then you click and drag. then it does the opposite. It's pretty much invert the selection or invert whatever you did. And again, you press Control Shift without dragging, just clicking, shows everything. Same principle. Control Shift, select, Control Shift, drag, invert, Control Shift, click, shows everything. Okay? Again, Control Shift, I'm gonna hide this, okay? And then just notice something. Let's undo this. I want you to notice something. Control Shift, click and drag. You see how the box is green? It means that I'm gonna show this. I don't have to close this, but it does it for you automatically because you've got nothing selected on the other side. It's pretty much open on the other side. It just does the selection close for you, the box. Now, if you want to do the opposite, instead of showing, you want to hide, you can do that. You're going to undo this. And again, just remember that this thing that I told you, when you have a brush, you press, and the brush is supposed to add, and you press Alt, it does the opposite. The same principle happening here. So I press Control Shift, look how it goes green. I let go of the Control Shift, then tap Alt, you see how it goes red, which is telling me that instead of going to show, I'm going to actually hide. So by doing this, again, you see I hid that instead, and I shown whatever is supposed to be hidden before. I press Control Shift again, Shift to just snap it to the view, just I want to snap it there. And again, if I want to show the opposite, I press Control Shift, drag, shows the opposite, undo that, Control Shift click, and it shows everything. Okay? So again, I'm gonna go here. Again, this one works the same. Control Shift, I can do the selection with the selection here, the same principle, it's just a box. Again, Control Shift, click, I hit everything outside the green box. I press Control Shift, let go of the Control Shift temporarily, press Alt and hold, and then the box goes red, means that I'm gonna actually hide instead of show. And oops, it didn't work. Let's see it again. Control Shift, this, and then that's it. Okay. I think if you let go of the Alt before the lifting the pen, then it will do what it was supposed to be initially. So you do this, let go, we're still holding the Alt, and then you get that. And again, Control Shift click, brings everything back. Control Shift click and drag, it does the opposite. Okay, it's just for you to get used to. Again, one more time, last time. Control Shift, green box, nothing held apart from Control Shift. It shows that and hide everything else. Okay, Control Shift, and again I can keep hiding. Control Shift, let go of Control Shift, press Alt. You see, and now I'm hiding there. You see, add to the selection as already. So it pretty much accumulates to whatever you got hidden already. Okay. So let me undo this. Okay. And the same like I said, it works this way. If you press Control Shift here, then you can just go here and then use the lasso. Here is just a quick selection. It's stuff that you've been picking recently, will be populated here depending on what you've been selecting from. Here you can select them from there as well. So you press Control Shift, lasso, green. You can let go even when it's green, and you press Alt. Oops, let's do it again. So you press Control Shift. Again, Control Shift, Alt, and you hide that. Okay. And again, if you want to show the opposite, press Control Shift and click and drag. That's the opposite. Control Shift click. Control Shift click. Shows everything. Okay. So now, for now, I'm gonna show you a little bit quickly what the other things are, which is the other modes, because you can use this modifier Control Shift to get it to not just use selection, but you can use one of these cool brushes or these sort of sculpting brushes. So the clipping brush is one of the most used. So you click here. You see, now we used to have the selection or the lasso. Now when we press Control Shift, we have this guy now available to us. So what this guy does, it's like a smash brush. So if you are working on this, you're gonna smash the head to be a little bit like a flat head here, like a flat area. Instead of just going and trying to move all this geometry together and then trying to make it as flat as possible, you can do it very easily using one of these brushes. Again, Control Shift, you have to have that selected. Okay, or in this case, sorry, it's this one. So if I press Control Shift and I draw a line, this is what happens. Okay, and it snaps. It doesn't snap. You can see the angle. I think it's this case by default is 5-degree angle. So if you had that, okay, and you let go, this is what happened. You can see it gave you a perfect smash of this geometry. And what it does, okay, let me undo that. what it does is pretty much you press Control Shift. Look at the gray line. So the gray line says whatever is in that gray line and above, or in that direction, is going to be smashed towards the dotted or the dash white line. Okay? You do that, you can see everything goes smashed to that position. Now, and the reason that works is because it's sensitive the way you draw the line. So you press Control Shift again, you do that, see how the gray line is up, okay? You're just clipping it. If you draw it this way, now the gray line is down, which means that whatever is below that is going to be smashed. So you do that, it does it for you, but you can see that it takes in consideration that the nose was outside this area and it gets still smashed, okay? So you have to be quite careful how you use that, because at the end of the day it's not creating new geometry, it's just pretty much matching everything which is that below that line. Okay, so I'm gonna move this up a little bit and I'm gonna show you that again. I'm gonna get rid of the perspective. This is the perspective, so you can have a little bit of warping in the perspective. So we can go into an isometric view now. Let's see how many minutes we have. 16 minutes now. So again, so Control Shift, and I can do this. Okay, even to that point, you just only smash whatever was on the line and ignore the rest. Okay, now if you want to create a little bit more of a different sort of lines, and not necessarily a straight line, you can do this. You press Control Shift, okay, you click there. Once you're halfway there, you let go of the Control Shift without letting go of the pen on the tablet, and then you press Alt once, Alt like that. You tap it, and it does this sort of smooth curve. Now if you tap Alt twice quickly, then it gives you another curve but straight line, okay, and you press Alt again once, it gives you a curvature, one that is a little bit with a smooth. And then when you let go, you can see you can create some really interesting patterns. That's how you start building your stuff, you know. This is just a quick thing there, so just for you to work. But if you press again Control Shift, you can build from there. You can just, without tapping Alt, you just click this line there if you want, okay. And the same goes if you press on this. If you go to this section, this side view, press like that. Yeah, I'm gonna press Control Shift again. I can just do this. Look at the gray line. Whatever is above that gray line, and it's gonna be smashed towards the white line, and you get that. You can see you can create some really interesting patterns or shapes in this case. So again, let me undo this. Control Shift, I'm in clipping mode. I call it clip brush or a clip curve. I do that, and I want to do a bit of a curvature. I let go of the Control Shift, leave the pen on the tablet, then tap once to give a curvature, Alt once, sorry, then you press, if you're gonna get like a straight line or a sharp line, you press Alt twice, okay, and then again, another line, and then if you're gonna create another something smooth, press once, and it gives you this, okay, and then you can see you can create something very interesting straight away, okay. And again, you have, by any chance, if you have the ability to do this, okay, this is quite tricky for me to demonstrate because I'm left-handed and I got my keyboard on the other side. So let me try and see if I don't have I'm gonna actually add a express keys to my tablet. That is the space bar. So if you are doing this, if you press Control Shift and do this, okay, and if you press the space bar while you're doing that, you can actually move the line. You can just move it there, let go, and you do that with the Alt, the space bar and the keyboard. I completely forgot to do that. Probably in the next class I will have the space bar already selecting one of my buttons. So that's for you clipping. Okay, if you press Control Shift, then you can just use a different one. You can use the clip curve again. So you can press Control Shift and you do this. Okay, you're clipping, but it's clipping a bit differently because it's clipping towards the inner part, okay? So it's clipping everything towards that, but it's a bit tricky. So I press Control Shift, and if you press Alt, it does the opposite. It's pretty much clipping things out. Okay, so that probably is a bit useless, I guess. And don't use that regularly. So let's have a look at this clip from center. This is another one. Control Shift. We do that. Maybe Control Shift, and I think if you press Alt, yeah, that's the one, better. That's the, if you press the Alt, obviously, if you press with that brush selected, if you press this, and it does the opposite, which is clipping everything towards that sphere. If you press Control Shift and press Alt, then you clip out. Okay, and it's just a matter. Remember, Alt does the opposite. It's supposed to be done in the brush. It's for you a little bit more experimentation if you want. Control Shift. Then we have we done through the clipping. All these clipping brushes are the same. They clip rectangular. It's the same. I suppose you press Control Shift and then get that towards that, so it's not gonna work. Then you do Alt. You see how it goes the opposite, and it just probably clips. If I want to clip, I'll probably clip all this. But that's the opposite. Not very useful, perhaps. But it might have some functionalities, okay, some interesting things you might be doing that might be helpful. But at the moment, I never use it. So Control Shift. Mostly I use the clip brush or this one. This one for selection hiding. This one is a little bit different. This is the slice curve. So when you press Control Shift and you do this, again the same principle happens. You go here and you press Alt again. You can create a curve. And what it does is actually creates a polygroup. Okay, creates a polygroup automatically for you, and it doesn't work with symmetry for some reason. But you can fix this by just going into geometry. I think I mentioned to you last week, modify topology, and you say mirror and well, and you will have the things on the other side. Now, this is a very good example because before we move on, we can probably do something. Instead of going press Control Shift, I'm gonna go back to my selection. And now I don't have to actually select this, how I want to select this specific polygroup, because I'm in selection mode. All I have to do is press Control Shift and click on the actual polygroup, and it automatically shows it. Okay, and that's the ability we have when you have polygroups. So you press Control Shift, click there, you see it hides everything else. So for example, if I press Control Shift and I hide all this, I can take this guy, okay, and go into polygroup and says group visible, and it will give me a different color. Now when I press Control Shift and click to hide show everything else, you see now I have this one with one color, this one with another color, and this one with another color. And the good thing about this is that you will have an easy for you to select things and hide and show things easier. So you do is you press Control Shift and you click here, you show that. Control Shift, you click here. Control Shift, you click here. So you can, by having this, you have the ability to select things individually very easily. Okay, and that is pretty much the mantra behind polygroups. Okay, you have the ability to actually select things easier once you have polygroup. And if you want to lose all this polygroup, all you have to do is everything shown. I can probably say Control Shift and click here, then Control Shift, click and drag to invert the selection, and then I said group visible. You see, so now all these guys share the same color, which means I will be able to select it with one click. Control Shift, show everything, or Control Shift, click and drag, invert the selection, Control Shift, click, everything at the same time. And again, Control Shift, I can click here, Control Shift, I can click there, Control Shift, click here, Control Shift, click here. I don't have to actually select them, but once they're polygroup, you understand, and it selects with one click, selects everything. So it's an easier way for you to select things, hide, manipulate them, instead of just trying to draw. Can you imagine trying to draw exactly this around again? But by having polygroup, you have the ability to do that. So going back to this clipping, this light brusher, what it does, it creates polygroup for you. The trim, it does the trimming as well, but it creates a polygroup. So it's slightly different. So I'm gonna show this, and with everything selected, I say group visible. So I create a whole group again. Even though I go new geometry here because it's the curve did that for me, I still go everything in a single polygroup. So again, I'm now in the trim brush or the trim curve. So I'm gonna do the same. Control Shift, okay, and I'm gonna let go of the Control Shift and then press Alt once. Now I'm gonna do this, and it did this. You can see by creating a brand new polygroup for that. Okay, but it does not a very good job sometimes. So you press Control Shift, and if you go to clipping brush, Alt again, you see it does it, but it doesn't create a new polygroup. This one pretty much takes out the geometry and then fills the hole with new geometry. Okay, so that is the difference between them. But again, doing this, if I go into Control Shift and then doing the trim curve, okay, Control Shift, and I do this, see, clipped it there, and then I have the ability to go back to selection and then press Control Shift, click, oops, Control Shift, click, you see, Control Shift, click, click, Control Shift. I can actually isolate individual elements once I have polygroups. And again, if I want to lose a polygroup, all I have to do is say auto group or group visible, and I say you see all share the same color. And I can keep clicking on this, and it will give me a different color every time. Okay, so if you prefer another color, that's fine. Okay, and it doesn't make any difference, just that they all have to share the same color, and it will allow you to select things easier. Okay, so I'm going to stop the class now because it's 25 minutes about Control Shift. I want you to try to do this at home and practice, guys, because this is just about practice. There's a lot going on in the software, and we're just scraping the surface. This is just the stuff that we're actually going to need for the next few weeks. When you're in year 2, year 3, then you will explore more in the software, and you will get a better command of the software. Because there's so many features that I cannot cover everything. It will take forever. There's plenty of information online, especially on YouTube. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you very much. I'm gonna finish this now, and I'm gonna come back with another one, probably talking a little bit about masking, which is another feature of a set brush, so you can manipulate the geometry. Thank you very much. Bye bye.